Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Harvey Rothman, and welcome to Vision Quest. We are broadcasting live here from Hamilton Radio in beautiful Robbinsville, New Jersey, where the temperature is about 110 degrees. No, just kidding. About 95 degrees. And tonight, we're going to be having a special presentation, and we're actually going to be filming this for YouTube, and I will explain why in a couple of minutes. With me here in the studio is my executive producer, Ruben Rodriguez, who is going to be actually interviewing me with regard to my upcoming book. And before we start, I would like to say that for the past year or so, I've actually been honored to have had the good fortune to interview a number of interesting people on this station. Everything from authors to filmmakers to shamans, other health professionals. And I must say we've had quite an interesting array of guests. Going forward, we're going to be delving into more issues such as psychotropic drugs, and we're going to be talking about the dangers of them and the dangers of big pharma and who's passing on health costs to who. We're going to have a number of interesting issues coming up. But tonight's my night. Tonight I will be reviewing a dynamic healing program that I have created called Phoenix Rising, a heart-based approach to healing. I will be giving you an outline of the program, discussing some of the key concepts, all of which will be available in book form come September. Now, this is the only interview that we're going to be doing pre-publication. Everything else will come after publication, which will be approximately late August, early September. With me today is Ruben Rodriguez, my executive producer, to my left.
Hello, everyone.
We are on film?
We are on film.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm very
Check
excited.
the audio.
Okay. I'm very excited and honored to be able to offer this program to my coaching clients, individually and to groups, and to lay out all this in more detail in my upcoming book. So, I would also note that, if I didn't already, that the show is going to be filmed tonight and it's going to be posted to YouTube in the next couple of days. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the Q&A over to Ruben, and I should say that I've been sick for about a month now, still having a few problems with my voice, but we're going to muddle through this anyway.
That's the reason why I'm taking over today, huh?
That's the reason why you're taking over. All right.
There you go. All right.
How you doing, Ruben?
I always got to fix Harvey's microphone.
Yes, that's your job.
Well, welcome, Harvey, to your show.
Thank you. And I might add that Ruben is the president and CEO of Iron Horse Films, which actually owns the radio station.
Yeah, we own a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So we're just one big happy family
That's
here.
right. That's right. I can't wait till Harvey writes me out that big check I need so I can keep the station going.
Absolutely.
Right, Harvey? Well, Harvey.
Doing my part.
Okay, that's right. Well, I just want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that Harvey has written a book, and he's going to be, I think it's your first book, right? Or second?
Yeah, actually, I was writing a novel, which I still am, but I put that
Yeah.
aside because something happened, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And I decided that this book has to get out first.
Right. So how's it feel to actually having at least one of your books first time published?
Well, it's not completely done yet, but it will be in the next number of weeks.
Right.
And I'm already working with some very talented people, illustrators, and talking to some publishing people.
Yeah, those illustrations were great. Yeah. I mean, the graphic design, and I'm sure the drawing will be just, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, now it's Vision Quest by Ruben today. I saw the vision and I'm on a quest.
There you go. And here we are.
So let me ask you.
Sure.
When you were putting this book together, what was the idea of calling it Phoenix Rising?
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, when I started my coaching business, as you know, my coaching business is called Phoenix Rising Coaching and Hypnosis Solutions. Originally, it was Phoenix Rising Coaching, and then I added the hypnosis to it. The purpose of that was, as you know, the phoenix is a mythical bird that lives about 600 years. At the end of its term, I'll say, it sets itself on fire, reduces itself to ashes, and then it rises from the ashes.
Right.
Okay. And the reason I decided to call the book the same thing, for a couple of reasons. Number one, because the book is about me. I mean, not about me, but it is about me to the extent that I am standing in the shoes of every other person out there who may have experienced something similar. Many people have.
Let me ask you before you move on. Was it a purpose of like being born again, like a rebirth? Because
yes.
that's what the phoenix is.
Well, yes, it's a resurrection. It's a resurrection.
Right.
And to explain that, I have to explain where I came from. So, about 4 years ago, I would say, I experienced what I could best call a spiritual death.
Right.
Obviously not a physical one, but a spiritual death. And that my entire belief system was challenged, number one. Number two, everything I knew in my life evaporated and was pulled out from under me, leaving me with basically zero. Right. And when I say zero, I mean zero in terms of beliefs, in terms of everything I knew.
Right.
Everything I knew, everything I believed, everything I was taught, gone in an instant.
Wow. You have to excuse me a little bit when I'm looking back over, so I'm just watching the board.
No, that's okay.
With the lights.
Sure, I know you've got to do a couple different tasks here.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at that point in time, and that began my journey, my journey upward and out of the ashes, and it took some time. Now, how did I get there? That's a whole nother story, but just briefly, I very quickly discovered spirituality, which is something that I'd always had in the back of my mind, but just didn't pay much attention to. I had known it years ago, and then kind of let it go. And I was very, I don't want to say atheist. I've never been an atheist, but agnostic, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just, engaged in my day-to-day chores and never thought about the spirituality aspect. And all of a sudden, I found myself needing that.
Oh, really?
And I don't know how I was guided. So I was guided to two things. First, I was guided to a group called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was guided to a discipline called Reiki.
Oh, okay.
Which is energy healing. So that first Friday night, I went to a Reiki healing session. Now, understand now, at that point in my life, I was completely down in the dumps. I was depressed severely. I was drinking heavily, which didn't help anything. No. And here I am. I'm sitting down at this healing session, and the person in charge, his name was Diane Todd, down at the coast. She did a Reiki healing maneuver on me.
Oh, okay.
At the end of the session. And I felt like something sucked out of my heart. And what was interesting was she felt it at the same time.
Oh, really?
And I didn't say a word.
What was like an exorcism?
Wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's. I don't think it's magic. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's magic. But I think there's a channeling involved.
Right. Well, I mean, you're probably right. You don't want to go to exorcism, but I'm thinking more like, how like you said, you were down, you were drinking.
Yeah.
And you went to this healing session, so it's almost like faith healing.
Yeah, except I didn't believe it. I didn't even know anything about it. I just went.
Right. You have to forgive.
I was a non-believer. I came out of nowhere.
Right. Well, you have to forgive me because I'm also biblically based.
No, I understand that. I'm going to talk about that too.
So if you got to forgive me for some of my references that I bring up.
No, that's okay. I understand that.
Right.
And a lot of people are.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, and as an aside, I am kind of non-biblically based, but I do draw references, some references from the Bible, and I'll tell a story a little later. And I do often use parables.
Right.
Which is not necessarily from my religion, but I can borrow from anybody's religion if it makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not. This is about you, so I'm not going to go too much into the Bible.
No, that's all right.
Too much, but you're right. The Bible has a lot of parables in it.
Yeah, there are.
And actually, all the religions use the same source.
Yeah, and I borrow quotes and ideas from Buddha, from Jesus, from Moses, from basically anywhere where it's relevant.
Right.
Because there are teachings that are relevant.
Wow.
And it all has to do with faith.
That's amazing. So.
Go ahead.
Oh.
No, I was just going to say. So I went through this. The next day, I started this group called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, and they started going over this book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Okay.
And there was a lot of material, and a lot of people were in a similar place that I was at the time.
Okay.
And there was a lot of emotion going on there.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of where I was then. All right. And gradually, I began lifting myself out. How? Just through this group, which helped me an awful lot, a group run by Donna Sika down the shore. And then I decided I needed to get an education. So I became a Reiki practitioner, which I am, level 3. That's out of 4. I'm not a Reiki master teacher, but I'm a practitioner.
Right.
I got my coaching degree from IPEC. That was a lengthy 9-month program.
Oh, really?
Intense program. I got my hypnosis certification a while back, and also got certified in humanistic neurolinguistic psychology.
Okay.
So I've got a whole bunch of tools at my disposal.
Okay, so you it seems like also what I can assume, or that in your book you probably do a lot of references of, like, I guess they call it the pineal gland, the third eye they call it.
I haven't referenced it really in the book.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about the chakras.
Yeah, chakras,
which is the third eye, which is here in the middle of the forehead.
Right.
That's one of the 7 main chakras.
Yeah.
But I haven't even gotten into that yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I moved ahead.
I may touch upon it in the book,
Okay.
but I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get that away.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of the concept of the phoenix rising. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to tell people and guide people that to the point where you can be the same phoenix. You can rise out of the ashes like I did. And the power is within you. The power is always within you. And the point of power is always within you as long as you don't give it away.
Right. You never want to give that away. It's like you always want to keep that within yourself. It's almost like, again, I can give a reference from the Bible. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And if you have that power of healing, you don't have to go and flaunt it around.
Right.
You only use it when necessary.
Right.
Only when you use it necessary.
Right.
And only a certain amount of people should know about it. Not too.
Yeah. And with all my credentials and all those silly letters after my name,
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is I'm a healer.
Yeah.
When I say I'm a healer, I don't mean I'm a magician.
No.
I mean, I can guide people, I'm intuitive, and I can help people heal.
You're like a guiding healer.
Yeah.
A guiding healer.
Yeah. You can say that.
Now, with you healing other people, does this help you out for yourself if you go
Yes.
through a little trouble?
Yeah. I mean, I've been through a lot of it, and I've healed, and I'll talk about my healing process.
Right.
But I could see and feel what other people are experiencing, and I could read it, and I can guide them to a place where where they would be able to heal.
Okay. Would you need someone to talk to yourself? Because, sometimes somebody needs someone to talk to just to, let out their emotions. And would you talk to another faith healer besides yourself?
I talk to people all the time.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of brings me to a couple of things.
Yeah, I didn't mean for question one to be the.
No, it's okay. It brings me a couple of things. Well, let me first start with why I decided to write this book now.
Right.
All right. So as I mentioned, I've kind of been sick for the past month.
Yeah.
I've had a really bad bronchitis and a couple of infections, followed by yet another one. My glands are still swollen, and I was kind of sitting at home for a number of days, and I got a message from my friend Bobby Torres.
Okay.
And Bobby Torres is also a type of healer, does Reiki among other things.
Right.
And she said to me, the lungs hold a lot of regret and sadness. Mm-hmm. And, of course, my first thought was, what are you talking about? What's sadness? I'm not sad.
Yeah.
Okay. And, of course, it took me about 10 minutes before I realized, whoa, she's onto something. Mm-hmm. So what I realized was, it's not that I'm sad, but do I have regret? Yeah. Because I'd been thinking about this for a while now, for weeks, maybe a month or two. And I was thinking, I'm 57 years old. I'm finally living my passion and the things that I want to do in my life.
You look good.
And thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at myself. You know what? I wish I was 30 and can do it over again because I don't have enough time to do everything I want to do.
Over again, yeah.
And that was the source of my regret.
Well, you know what? It's like one of those teachings is, like what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't turn yourself into a pillar of salt.
Yeah, right.
Let go. Sometimes you
Not prematurely.
Prematurely. Sometimes, I know people wish they can go back in time. I mean, even I'm in my 30s. And sometimes I feel like I wish I can go back in time and do things over. But, when you're in your 20s, you're just still exploring things.
Sure.
And all. And even when you come to your 30s, you're just finalizing everything. And before you know it, half your life is gone already. Yeah. And it's in a way, it's kind of sad because it almost makes you wish you did live as long as people in biblical times. Like Moses lived to 1,008 or 980 years. 900,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, 920, 80 years, something like that.
No, he wasn't 900. He was 120.
No, not Moses. I mean Abraham.
Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham.
I know some of them.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. But can you imagine being 400 years old and looking like you're in your 50s?
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it? Be like, you got your whole life ahead of you. Don't you wish?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you got another 400 years.
Hell yeah. But the nice thing is, I believe that we're going to come back. I believe in reincarnation. I firmly believe in it.
Well, I guess me and you're on the same boat, but like you on the reincarnation, I believe in the revelation that when we pass, yes, we'll be reincarnated, but I think we'll come. I don't believe we're going to be like an animal or anything like that. No. I think we'll be in a new body. Yeah. And that's going to be living forever when that next time comes around.
I believe our souls are eternal and that we're going to keep coming back and keep repeating the lessons or learning new lessons. Yeah. And that's what it's all about.
Let me ask you this, since we're on that subject. Do you ever wonder, like, you were put on this earth until you get it right?
I do actually. Well, first of all,
it's like, oh well, you did it wrong. Do it again.
Well, no, it's not like that. I know. I believe that we pre-plan, and we had a show on that recently with Ed Martini, and I believe we pre-plan what we're going to learn and who we're going to come with, and what our lessons are going to be. And we may learn the lessons, we may not. And if we don't, we may have to wind up repeating them.
Right. It's almost like because, like with I think it was Fred Martini, right?
Yeah. Rich Martini, I'm sorry.
Oh, Rich Martini, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I think he was the one that was on your show that talked about how we choose where we want to be at.
Yeah. Flip side,
The flip side. And, when he said that on your show, and I'm thinking in the back, I think I even came on and I had to ask him a question.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'll be honest with you. Why would I choose this part of the life to struggle all the way up to get to where I am, where I could have chose to been part of a monarch or
Well,
be with Donald Trump?
well, you know what the answer is. The answer is because
Yeah.
this is what you chose before you were born to learn.
To learn. So you think probably if you well, hopefully
What-
in our
what-
next
what the
life there'll be
lesson
no
is-
monetary.
Yeah, I mean, what the lesson is, I don't know. You know, we've all got different lessons.
Right.
You know, we've all got different issues. Some of us,
Yeah.
it's abandonment, fear. I mean, a lot of things.
You know, it's almost like when you go into a restaurant, you'd be like, you're looking at the menu, and you'd be like, let me try this out, right? Then all of a sudden you say, you know, take it back.
Something like that.
You know, you know, but you know, we all try, and I'm sure you know, there's a lot of people, millions of people out there, and it makes you wonder though, when you look back, when you look at other people, the way they have to live, sometimes you thank God that you are where you are because it could be a lot worse, you know, in those scenarios, and it's a good thing that you know you touched on that you could.
Yeah. You know, I want to talk also a little bit about faith that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we feel, oh, I have this weakness. I can't do this and I can't do that, whether it be a physical weakness or whether it be in your head.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it might be. And I'm going to explain it this way. If God is everywhere,
Yes.
God is within us. God is here in our hearts. And if we have faith, we can do anything.
That is true.
Okay.
That is true.
However.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, not however, but
Actually, I got something to touch on.
all right, go ahead.
I watched the documentary.
your turn.
Oh, I'm taking over the show. I'm so sorry. You touch on a lot of things that I
No, that's
can
all right.
relate
That's
to.
why we're having this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. I was watching this documentary. I think it was the guy Michael Ike. I think it was, or Richard Ike, or David Ike. David Ike. I think it was David Ike.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving any promotions, but it was an interesting documentary on when the guy was talking about the evils in the world, and he said that if you don't have the Holy Spirit in you, the evils of the world can take you over. But if you have the Holy Spirit, if you do have it in you, nothing in you that's evil can control you unless you allow it to. And that's everything from, like, you know, different, we all have different temptations, you know, whatever it may be, or whatever, but you can break out of that trance, you know, because you're like, well, you know, out of curiosity, I'll try this, that, and the other. But it won't control you because you're trying something. And people have their own internal, like, addictions, like with sugar or, you know, God forbid, drugs. And,
Alcohol,
you know,
so on,
so forth. And sometimes you can heal yourself away from that if you have focus and you have faith. But if you don't have that faith in you, which is the Holy Spirit, those I want to say not beings, but those entities can control you. And I truly believe that when I'm driving on the road and you see people's different attitudes, and I almost feel like I'm one with myself when I'm out in the world because I don't follow the mainstream. You know, like I'm not the person who wants a White House with a picket fence around it and a garden and 3.5 kids.
You're your own guy.
Yeah, I'm my own guy.
Yeah.
I want some funky looking house with 3 levels that look like steps. And
Okay, whatever it is.
Whatever
That's
it is,
cool.
yeah, I'm different. I want to
See, that's an
different.
example. That's
Yes.
great. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Because this is what I'm trying to teach people.
Yes.
Whatever it is you want, first of all, you have to identify it. You have to know what it is, because a lot of people don't.
Right.
And if that's your passion, you got to follow it.
Right.
If you don't follow your passion,
it.
you might as well pack it in, you're dead.
And, you know, believe it or not, that is actually very, in a way, you know, Jesus actually says that too. Like if you have faith, you can move mountains.
Yes.
And
go
ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And I believe that if you focus on what you want, you will get it. And that's the same thing going back to faith and being positive. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of, like you said, you do have a lot of biblical references in your book.
I mean,
and
so faith is like,
Yes.
I mean, I'll tell my favorite biblical
yeah,
story.
sure.
And It's, it's Moses, obviously.
Right.
So no, so I mean, there's Moses. He's he's exiled from Egypt. He's minding his own business, poking at his sheep, whatever they do there.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he comes across this bush, and it's a burning bush.
Right.
Pretty funky, right? and the bush talks, and it's God. And God says, "Moses, I have surely heard the cries of my people in Egypt,
Right.
and I'm going to deliver them, and you are how I'm going to do it." And Moses looks at the bush and goes, "Say what?"
Yeah.
But Lord, I'm a wanted man in Egypt. I
Right.
can't go back
Back
to
to
Egypt.
Egypt.
I mean, they're going to, they'll do
Right.
me in.
And I'm also one man alone. And
One man alone. And God says, "I don't care." And he says, but this isn't any ordinary man. This is Ramses. He goes, "I don't care."
I don't care.
And
You're going to do it anyway.
you're going to do it anyway. And Moses says, but Lord, I can't even speak. Moses had an impediment.
Right.
And God says, "That's okay. Your brother Aaron will speak for you."
For you. Yeah.
And by the way, who are you to tell me who made you what I can and cannot accomplish within you?
Exactly.
For your greatest weakness is my greatest strength.
Right.
And I will be with you.
It's amazing that God had chosen Aaron to be his speaker, but yet Aaron didn't. It's amazing they both needed each other. If you think about it, Aaron may have been the speaker, but Moses had the authority.
Yeah.
Because
they were a team,
They were
so
a team.
to speak.
So it's and I'm just saying from what I read in the Bible, it's just interesting that when Moses went up to the mountain to get the 10 Commandments, Aaron let the people run around. He had no authority over the people to stop them from building the golden calf
Right,
and
right.
doing their debauchery stuff and,
Okay.
and all that. And then when Moses came down, they all stopped.
Okay.
So it's amazing that even though Moses was shy to talk to people as one in the crowd, but he had the authority. But he needed Aaron to speak for him.
Exactly. So let me bring it into modern times.
Sure.
Faith. So faith. Faith is faith in God, and there's faith in yourself. And to me, they're the same thing. But you got to believe in yourself. If you believe in God, you got to believe in yourself. They're one and the same. You can't believe in one and not
Yes.
believe in the other, right? Because you were made by God, and you've got that same
Right.
the same possibilities.
Possibilities,
Okay.
right.
So my story is about 35 years ago. I was also in a bad state, and I was in San Diego, and I was standing at the cliffs looking down, and I was having some nasty thoughts. All right, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And I will swear to it any day. I felt, I'm not saying I heard things, but I felt the hand of God came out and pulled me back and said, "No, it's not your time. You have things to do." Get the chills talking about it.
No, actually, don't feel funny about it because I actually had, I can go back and tell you many things that happened to me by the odds of God. Some of them are weird to some people, but
It's okay.
But
nothing's weird.
Nothing's weird, right? And plus, the truth is always in the eye of the beholder, because you were there, so you know what happened for yourself.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I was walking to the store, and I guess there was a drunk driver, somebody driving while I was crossing the street, saw me crossing the street and revved up his engine and came towards me. The only thing I knew is that yellow line in the middle of the road. Now, here comes the weird part I was talking about. I got to the middle of the yellow line. As the car was coming, we were like this close together, like this. Somehow or another, and it still amazes me to this day. I wish I could figure it out. I can only have God as the answer. I was able to leap over the car and land on the sidewalk. And the guy drove right over me, right underneath my foot, and I was able to land on the sidewalk. The guy stopped, looked back at me, like in awe and shock that either A, how did he do that, or B, I didn't hit him or something like that. He just stopped there for a moment, and it was like,
I've
and
got
it was
story
happened
after
once.
story.
Yeah, so that's just one of, like I said.
I've got tons of stories just like that one.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, I was working for an insurance company. We were out in the field doing some work. My partner was with me, and we were waiting at a light, we're in our 20s, and we're looking at the girls on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And the light changed, and people started honking me, and I get ready to go, and a car comes barreling through it, maybe at 120 miles an hour. I was in the death seat.
Oh, really?
But because we were sitting there watching the girls on the sidewalk, we would have been dead.
Oh, wow.
Okay, just coincidence?
Coincidence, maybe,
or divine planning.
It's probably more like divine plan. And I think a lot of our stuff is by divine plan. Sometimes I try to be on time to places. People know me to be late, but I tell you what, every time I'm late,
there's a reason.
There's always a reason. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times I avoided an accident.
I'm sure.
And every time I was late, I walked by and I said, man, if I left 20 minutes early, that always crosses my mind.
So
but
there are no coincidences.
There's no coincidence. Yeah, sometimes you leave early, and an accident happened later, after the fact. That's why I believe God is so divine.
You just have to kind of be open to it and aware of what's going on. You have to be conscious.
Right.
I'll get to consciousness in a minute.
One more thing I want to tell you.
Yeah.
It'll be real short. Okay. And this is when actually interesting.
Should we change seats?
Yeah, sure. Let's just say, I told you to be a Ruben show. Don't worry, Harvey. I'll let you go over.
I'll get you on the next interview.
Yeah, exactly. This will be real quick. This one's actually interesting. It had nothing to do with death or anything. It happened to actually be amazing. There was one morning I was getting up because I had to go to work. I think I had to be at work by like 10 a.m. in the morning. So I happened to get up at 7 a.m. to go get gas in my car. So, I get up, I wash up a little bit, and I say, I'll just clean up. I'll just brush my hair a little bit, and then when I come back, I'll finish cleaning up. Yeah. I said a little bit.
A little bit.
This was about, it's 2014 now. Maybe about 12 years ago.
Wow.
This happened. About 2002, 2001. I'm thinking probably even 2000, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe it was 14 years ago. But anyway, it was about 7:30 in the morning. I get up, I go to the gas station and get gas. I decided to go to the gas station down, about 2 miles down the road from me because the gas was pretty cheap. I think it was like 98 cents or something like that.
Literally.
So I told the guy to fill it up. So to fill up the tank was like $14, $15 at the time. Yeah, I think it was like 98 cents, 99 cents or something like that a gallon. And wouldn't you believe it, the guy fills my tank up. And I forgot my wallet at home. I had no cash, no credit cards, nothing on me. I pleaded to the guy. I said, I give you write down my license plate number and everything. Here's my car insurance. And the guy was like, no, sorry, you got to pay. You got to get
back the gas.
I was like, I said, I live like 5 minutes down the road.
Keep the car. I'll walk home.
Yeah, I'll keep the car. I'll come back. That was but then it took me about an hour to get back home, for a 5-minute drive or something like that, Well, the speed limit was like 35, 40 miles an hour. So,
okay.
so anyway, I'm standing around the gas station, and I'm right across from a auto store, like supply safe. You buy your tires and stuff for your car. Across the street, I see this van. It happened to be my supervisor's van. And we happened to be really good friends. And I said, I didn't tell the guy this. I just told him, I looked down and said, you know what? Hold on, I'll be right back. I run into the store. I said, oh, dude, I'm glad you're here. He says, Ruben, what's wrong? I said, I just got $15 in gas, and I left all my cash at home. I got money and everything. He says, oh, don't worry about it. Here. He gave me a 20. And he said, by the way, this happened right before Thanksgiving week. And he gave me a turkey and some extra food.
He must have thought you were hurting.
Yeah, no, I forgot gas in the car. He said, Ruben, I just got all this extra food from the store. I'm not going to give names, unless they sponsor, of course. I got all this food from the store. So I walked back to the guy. I had him a 20, and I started putting the food in. The guy was just like this. He said, where'd you get all this from? You just walked into the auto store. You come back with a $20 bill and you got food. I just said, well, hey, miracles do happen. I got in my car and drove off.
So that was your Thanksgiving miracle.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, I told you I was honest. And I got the food. It's just, so that's what amazing.
Yeah, one of those things that,
it was divine.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to God.
Yes.
So fast forward.
Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
while I was having these epiphanies. One day, God came to visit me again. The first time in 35 years. And this time, again, it's not, I'm not hearing things, but it's a feeling that I was touched by the hand of God this time. And I felt this overwhelming feeling of light and love. Like it was like I was immersed in it, and I can't even describe it. And this time God told me in my mind, you have to write this book and you have to do it now. And after that, I went to my computer and I just started writing.
Wow.
And I've been writing ever since, and I haven't been able to stop. And the ideas just keep flowing.
So you almost feel like how I would say John, when he was sent over to the island of Patmos, and God fed him everything about Revelation. So you feel like kind of like similar.
It's almost like what's his name? The guy who wrote
because you're
Conversations with God.
Yeah. You know, God's
but this is a little different.
Yeah, well, God's dictating to you, all right, this is what you have to write. But in your case, he came to you and said, write about your experience.
My experiences.
Because you already know.
Yeah. So this is what I'm writing. I'm writing about my experiences, and I'm writing about my program, which has always been there, but I now put it into physical form, into words, and that's why it's going into this book. And the book is really going to be an outline. It's not a substitute for doing the work or for working with somebody, but at least I've got an outline in this book that could help people get a start.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else on it, or
as far as that goes, no.
Okay.
I mean, that's how we started.
Okay.
Now the other thing is, what am I calling the program?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's interesting also. And this came up. I mean, again, I've been doing it, but it came up rather suddenly, in terms of writing it. I'm calling it a heart-based approach to healing.
Okay. I was just about to ask you that question. Yeah. Why heart-based?
Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons, but there's a lot of new science out right now, and science about the heart. And for example, I've got some some literature on it. Compared to the electromagnetic field produced by the brain, the electrical component of the heart's field is about 60 times greater in amplitude and permeates every cell in the body. The magnetic component is approximately 5,000 times stronger than the brain's magnetic field and can be detected several feet away from the body with sensitive magnometers.
Wow.
So this is a lot of new science. They're calling it neurocardiology.
Okay.
A lot of new stuff. And, you know, they're finding out that the heart actually talks to the brain, and the heart actually controls cognition and a number of things, cells within your body. In addition to the heart being the intuition of your body. So if you're going to heal, you're going to heal from your heart.
Right.
That's where it has to come from. And again, there's new science now to back all this up, and I'll write about it in more detail. But it's out there, and you know, they're just learning new things every day.
Right.
And spirituality has always talked about the heart being important, but now science is catching up.
To more what the heart is all about.
Yeah, so the heart is a lot more powerful, and has more of a say in what goes on in your body and everything else, actually, than the brain does.
It's amazing that your emotion. Do you truly believe that any type of emotions that you go through, your heart also feels it?
Yes.
Everything from stress, to
absolutely,
sorrow, to happiness.
Absolutely, your heart feels it. In fact, there's another study that shows that when you sense that something is going to happen, say in the future, both your brain and your heart sense it, but the heart senses it before the brain.
Really? Oh, okay.
That's another new study. There are a lot of new studies out there on this stuff. And that's why I really think that the approach has to be through the heart. Now, Louise Hay came up with this thing called affirmations.
Okay.
Right, which we did a few years ago when I was learning Louise Hay. And, affirmations are, I am powerful, I am worthy, I am intelligent, I am lovable, and so on and so on and so on. She's got thousands of affirmations. Okay.
Right.
And, what people do is they write out these affirmations, they put it on their mirrors, they put it all over their house.
Right.
And they have to constantly remind themselves about these things verbally. And the idea is it goes to the brain. It has an impact on the brain, and ultimately the theory being that it'll have an impact on the emotion, so they eventually believe it. But the problem is when they're doing it, there's a dissonance because they don't really believe it.
Do you? I heard about something like that. What was it from? The Secret.
The Secret, Law of Attraction.
Law of Attraction. Do you think that if you focus on something, you'll actually achieve it?
Well, yes and no. First of all, we proceed on the assumption that we all have our own realities. And let me go further to say we make our realities.
Right.
Okay? How do we do that? Well, this goes way back. If you look at authors even back into the 50s and the 40s and go back to Buddha even, your predominant thought, what you think about all the time, is what's going to become your reality. My predominant thought for the last 4 weeks has been this book.
Right.
This book is becoming reality, and it's becoming reality now.
And I believe in that, and I think that goes back to having that faith.
It does.
And that's why if you stay on a positive track and you have the Holy Spirit in you, and you believe that this can happen, of course, myself, prayer has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. And we all have our different ways of praying.
Praying, right, exactly. But if you allow any type of negativity, then that's where the devil comes into details, as they would say. Will try to block you from doing so that way you will lose hope and you lose faith. You have
can never lose hope.
No, never lose hope. Just because one thing fell or didn't happen, there's a way to do it. You just got to figure out. I'm going to tell you, like setting up. I'm going to do a little shameless self promotion here.
Go
just
for
a
it.
little one.
Go for it. We're on the same team. Go ahead.
Yeah, with Synagogue. When I first was developing it, just papers all over my room, designing and how it should be, and this is where it goes to say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand knows, even if it's within your own team sometimes. Some people were with me on it, some were not, because it was just lack of knowledge of how I was going to put it together, or they just didn't understand it, But as I built it, and we did a test run last year, when we did a live stream, all of a sudden, everybody's mind changed. It's like, oh, it's actually possible for you to do this. They didn't think I could actually do it. But when we actually broadcast live, it didn't come out perfect.
It's okay.
But it was a start, because I needed to know, how much power, computing power I need, what signals I need to get in order to do it, and where to place stuff. And now that led to getting these players that I'm getting for the host and the musicians.
It's amazing how quick people are to tell you what you can't do.
Right.
And my son Jordan is a great example of this. I mean, he was in special ed his whole life, and his teachers were very quick to tell him what he can't do. You know what? He proved them all wrong.
That's right.
And he's going to keep doing it because he's got faith and he's got hope and he's got gumption behind it.
And he has patience
where
the teachers didn't have patience. Because if you tell someone they can't do it, that means you don't have the patience yourself.
And to Jordan, that's a challenge. You can't do it? Well, now I'm going to show you that I can.
Exactly. It might not be tomorrow. It may not be next month. Maybe not be next year. But I guarantee
it's whatever it is,
it's going to get done.
He's gradually doing everything he set out to do.
Yeah, and I congratulate him on that. That's great.
Thank you.
That's definitely see. That's good willpower.
And I'm doing the same thing.
Right.
I mean, a lot of these things I set out to do a few years ago, and I had a goal, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to reach the goal or exactly what path it was going to take. For
right.
example, did I know I was going to be in broadcasting?
Right.
I had no idea. I didn't even think about it until I appeared on Nancy Ryan's show, and hey, I got a show.
Got a show. That's right.
I got 2 shows.
That's 2 shows.
What did I know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the contacts I've made, like yourself, and all the people I've met and keep meeting. I mean, it all builds on itself.
And then having all these intricate parts between your book and what you do for your living and being part of the show, the broadcast. When you take these intricate parts together in your life, there's people that will come that you do not know, but that are attached to that element.
Yeah, there are always people attached.
Yeah. If you're in entertainment, you're going to meet other producers who know this producer and so forth.
Sure. And it's
whatever.
not that you're,
When
and it's not that
writer,
you're going
other
forward, and
authors.
it's not that you're trying to move forward from a position of ego.
No.
It's that, I mean, at least for me, it's
Yeah.
that I've got certain dreams and
like to achieve them.
certain passions, I'm going to
Right.
say, and I'm living my passions for the first time in my life.
Right.
Between the acting that I'm doing and the writing and the broadcasting and all this stuff, I'm living my passions.
Yeah.
And it's just really an exciting time for me.
No, that's great. And it should be. I feel that by the time when you're 50, you should be. Everyone should be at that point. Even if you got started late, at least if you got into your 50 or 55, you should be living your passionate dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not planning.
Because you worked hard to get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to plan on retiring anytime soon.
No, retire.
or anything, or anytime soon.
No,
at all. But I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, I think retirement.
I don't need retirement.
Yeah, only retirement you need is from hard work. I mean, not hard work as in not your passion, but I'm talking about.
Well, you can work hard on something that's not your passion, and you could be bored with it.
Yeah, that's true too.
There are a lot of people doing that out there.
I guess I don't mean to get off the track there real quick. What I mean by hard work, like, you don't want to be saying, would you like fries or that for 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
If you don't have to.
You want to work smart.
Yeah, you want to work smart.
Not hard.
Harder. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I believe in. And, some people, where I work at don't agree with that, but I do, and it works for me. Because when you work smarter and not harder, things, flow better. And you get things done a little quicker, and you get more time to enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
Instead of making it difficult on yourself. If you could just figure out, plan it out. It might take you 2 or 3 weeks to plan out and say, okay, hey, especially if you're in a new job, say, okay, maybe if I do it this way or maybe this way, there's always a better way to do something. So,
And talking about passion, I want to talk a little bit about emotions.
Okay.
Because this plays a major part. Now, a couple of years ago when I first got back into acting a little bit, I was having trouble with my first role in that I wasn't feeling the part. And in fact, I wasn't feeling a lot of anything because my emotions were stifled. And I guess it was about, when was the Garden State Film Festival?
April 6th.
This past April.
Yep.
I had a chance to, when we were there, to watch a movie called Bipolarized. And
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
yeah, and I do hope to have the filmmaker in on a discussion on psychotropics eventually, and a couple psychiatrists. But be that as it may. Briefly, the movie was about this guy who was diagnosed with bipolar illness, and he was sent from drugs to drugs to drugs to drugs, and institutionalized and given shock therapy, and taken all around the merry-go-round.
Right.
Until he finally realized, wait a minute, I don't need the drugs. And he was able to somehow get away from them. And the movie talks about the abuses of the system and how drugs are dispensed like candy.
Right.
Okay? And it kind of reminded me of a couple of things. First of all, getting back to my son.
Yeah.
My son Jordan was on some heavy-duty drugs his whole life. And he recently, just about a year ago, decided he was going to take himself off the drugs.
Okay.
I mean, he told his doctor, he said, I'm taking, and the doctor said, okay, go ahead, see what happens.
Yeah.
He did. And he's fine. But the thing that is a stark, that was a stark wake up to me was, he said, I could feel things for the first time in my life. My emotions are back. I was like, get out.
So it's like the drugs stifled him.
The drugs were holding in his emotions. They made him talking monotones, and he had no sense of emotion. Now all of a sudden he's got all his emotions and he could feel, and he has to figure out how to deal with them.
Right.
Whether it be happiness, joy, sadness, whatever. And he's been learning over the last year how to kind of get them in check. And he told me I could talk about this on here, or I wouldn't have said it.
I hear you. Yeah.
So likewise, I was on antidepressants for years and years and years and years, maybe 17 years, and the last bunch of them maybe kind of on and off. Although 4 years ago I went back on it, I was pretty bad. But I decided to try an experiment. And a few months ago, I stopped my antidepressants. Because, number one, I didn't feel I needed them anyway or that they were doing anything for me. But what I found out and what I realized is what my son said was true. All of a sudden, my emotions came flowing back to me that I hadn't felt in years.
Right.
Good, bad, ugly, whatever they are. They came back to me. And not only that, but all my creative juices that I thought I had lost came back to me as well. To the point where now I've got ideas popping into my head all the time. I mean, good stuff. And the reason I'm able to write this book. I mean, one of the things I can tell people is if there's any way you could stay away from psychotropic drugs, not only are they a crutch, but they will kill you. They will take your emotions away. They will make you into an emotionless cyborg. And you don't want that to happen.
You know, it's amazing. You know, when I'm not sure, I've never seen a commercial for it, or maybe like, I think I've seen some, like, was it Volex or something like that, or something like that. And those drugs, I think what is, when they stop your emotions, they also stop your thought process, and it just kind of makes you almost zomatized.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the book Prozac Nation?
Yeah, that's it, Prozac.
Yeah, well, that was the original.
Zoloft. That's
well, they're all the
one.
same derivative.
Yeah.
They're all serotonin uptake drugs. And our bodies make serotonin. There's serotonin in spinach. I mean, you can find serotonin in a lot of different foods.
And it comes from somewhere.
And every time I turn around, I see, and I deal with people who are on medications all the time, and I see their medical charts through my law practice. Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil. Every single person I look at is on antidepressants. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Everybody's on antidepressants. And they're functioning, but they're not.
Right. They're there, but they're not there.
Yeah, I mean, they're there, but there's no passion, there's no emotion, there's nothing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they don't care.
No, it's like I said, the drugs, I think, is stifled. You're there as a human being, but spiritually, you're not here. Your thoughts and everything is somewhere else, and it's like that door is closed. All your emotions and everything, that door is closed.
Yeah.
And all it is just a bandage. You know, but if you don't let those emotions out, you can't really heal yourself spiritually.
Yeah. So
and
I mean, it's meant to smooth you out, but it just. And maybe that's all it does for them, so they can go to work every day and do their job and not feel anything. But it's not helping.
It's not helping, and it's not healthy, and you know, stress and stuff, you know, ages you like that.
You got to learn how to deal with stuff, and that's kind of what my program is about: dealing with stuff through your heart, and not dealing with these awful drugs. Likewise, alcohol. People use alcohol medicinally. Well, alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. Right. If you're already depressed, what's alcohol going to do to you?
Make you more depressed.
It's going to make you more depressed. Duh, no brainer.
Right. It's going to make you, it's going to make you more.
I mean, so you got to kind of detox your body.
Actually, sometimes I think that's even like before you get on the drugs. Speaking of detoxing. If you're feeling like depressed because you have this emotional feeling, and a lot of foods themselves, if you don't have that nutrition in you, I really believe that also affects your emotions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know,
if you have a lot of sugars and carbs, it's gonna tire you out. You're gonna be fatigued, and if you're gonna be fatigued, you're gonna be somewhat on the sluggish, depressed side.
And if you're already depressed, that's just increasing that, just like alcohol, but on the food side.
Yeah.
But if you detox your body, get those such nutrients in there, I think less and less that emotional feel. Well, I mean, people get away like if you know, over a bad breakup or whatever.
Well, that's called situational depression
right.
or stress.
But eventually, but I've seen, I've seen people depressed over someone for over years.
Yeah, and
they finally got over it. Like,
but
3
they're
years
not.
later.
But what that shows is they're not working on it. When I first joined the divorce support group back in 2010, I remember the first guy I met there. I said, "So, how long have you been with the group?" He says, 7 years. I was like, "What?" Like, holy cow, 7 years.
I got it as 6 months to a year. After 6 months you go into healing or something like that. But some people
Situationally, 6 months to a year.
Yeah, because it's amazing. I mean, I don't want to sound heartless or anything, but when you go through that breakup, no matter what it is, or if you lost someone, any way, which I think losing someone either by breakup or divorce or death can really bring back those emotions. But I don't want to sound hypocritical or anything, but sometimes you just got to get over it. I remember when I broke up with my one of my ex-girlfriends back, we were really together, but this has gone back to like 1999, 1998, and she didn't want to go to the same schools or something like that. So we I was emotionally depressed over that. Actually, I got over it within about a month. Because what you know my healing was? I went cross country.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I just went cross country.
That's terrific.
For 4 weeks. I met new people, and I realized there's more than just that area.
I'd love to do that every year.
Yeah. I mean, you get over your emotions real quick.
Just grab a couple of things on my shoulder, grab a guitar, and go.
Go, yeah. I tell you, I met so many different people. I met a Native American. I met a Texan.
Oh, that's great.
They told me different stories.
Love it. Love it.
This was all on the train too when I was.
Yeah, and I've done stuff like that in my life too.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
It is.
And when I came back, I was so refreshed. I forgot all about the breakup.
Of course.
And everything, and
time to move on.
And actually, I was kind of glad I did break up with her because I was able to go on dates.
well, yeah. Actually, that reminds me of the saying that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, everyone you've been involved with in your life, you were there for a reason. You were there to learn something or to teach something.
Right.
And when that was done, you're on to the next one.
Right.
But everybody comes in and out of your life for a reason.
Yeah.
And when it ends, it's just time for it to end. Whatever it is.
It's almost like changing that next chapter in your life.
It's moving on. It's like a book. You move on to the next chapter, or like a play.
Yeah.
Move on to the next scene. But I know we're running out of time a little bit.
Not.
We're not. Oh, we're good. Okay.
We're good.
Because there's a couple of really important concepts that I want to talk about. And
let's go. How did you achieve to get to your credentials to do your credentials for the spiritual healing and guidance?
Well, again, my credentials are a combination of everything I've learned and studied.
And they got a lot of 3 letters behind your name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a certified professional coach, which was an education in and of itself.
Right.
And I've got a lot of friends that I made there. Some of whom have been on the show actually.
Right.
Like novelist Laura Kendall, who was on the show. She's got about a dozen books out. Professional writer and author. Who else? Kathy Buglin. She was on the show. The adoption coach.
Right.
A number of other people. It's just it's a big community.
Yeah.
It's a small community, but it's not. But it's a big community.
Yeah.
I mean, coaches do a lot of good work depending on what their expertise is. Mine is healing.
I have to say, the way things are going on in the world, and I think if a lot of people focused on the healing aspect of your life, I know we all go through certain things, but if you can get yourself someone like you, Harvey, as a life coach, for for healing, healing people, I think that also saving lives.
Yeah. And healing doesn't mean that you're suffering. I mean, healing could just mean a general healing. You want to better yourself and heal from your past, period.
Yeah.
there's actually a lot more to it than just I want to get better. I want to feel better. I mean, of course, that goes with it. But there are a number of concepts that go with it. For example, we have a lot of imprints from our childhoods. Imprints such as you're not good enough,
Right.
you're not lovable, you're not this, you're not that. These are deep imprints, and there are others.
Right.
And one of the things we do, and I learned this in hypnosis and in NLP, is we do timeline repair. And just to simplify it, timeline repair, you take somebody back. You see how somebody's responding to a situation, okay? And you take them back. When did you last respond to the situation in this manner?
Right.
And feel this. Always feel it. Go back further. Go back further. Go back further. And you go back to when you were really young. You
Right.
try to find the initial imprint. And then you take a good look at it. And this is the way I do it, at least. There's a couple different methods. Okay, now go back to the original one. Now let's take a look. This is how you experienced it. How else could you have experienced it? Let's say the parents were involved. Well, how about you say, well, I chose my parents, and my parents were doing the best they knew how at the time. Does that help you? Or imagine your parents as little children who had their own issues.
Right.
Does that help you? Does that help you look at it in a different way? And then you take it forward. And you take it forward by doing the same thing on each experience. Let's look at it in a different way. How can we
Right.
reframe it? And then you come up to where you are now and say, well, why am I responding like an 8-year-old when there's a better way to do it?
Right.
And I can perceive it differently. And the idea is to become conscious. And how do you become conscious? Well, one way is by something called observing ego,
Right.
which is by stepping outside yourself and watching what you're doing and feeling.
Right.
And the other way is to reframe. So, hey, this is how I behaved. How can I change that? How can I behave more like an adult or in a more positive manner?
Right.
That will be in my best interests and everybody else's. Okay, so that's timeline repair. Now, the other exciting concept that I've got is something that we've talked about a little bit.
Right.
Now, I don't want to say obsessed, but I've been fascinated by the subject of metaphysical time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now metaphysical time is the point of power is always now, and past, present, and future all exist at the same time, and that is now.
Okay.
Kind of built a little bit on what Eckhart Tolle said about the power of now.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so if you proceed on that assumption, so here's your timeline.
Okay.
You're proceeding on your timeline, and something happens that makes you change the timeline, whether you caused it or not. Okay? So there are maybe 4 or 5 pivotal events in your life
Okay.
that change the timeline. You decide on a career,
Right.
on a college, decide to get married, get divorced, have children. These are all pivotal events in your life that'll take you off the timeline here or there. Now, any deviation in that, say you marry person A instead of person B. So instead of going on this timeline, you're now on a different timeline. Now, there's something called string theory, which was developed by a physicist in 1957, and I forgot his name offhand, but the theory being that there are multiple dimensions in the universe.
Right.
And one theory is there are 11 dimensions, and in the 11th dimension holds every possible combination of decisions that could ever have been made, and they've already happened. Right. They are happening, and they're continuing to happen. You're just on a different timeline.
So you think instead of 5 dimensions, we're actually on 11?
Well, that's that theory.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
Okay.
there are others. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a more recent theory that talks about black holes,
Yeah.
and that black holes contain other dimensions, that we ourselves are in a black hole.
Actually, I think I
That's
saw
new.
something like that even on NASA. I think one of the researchers think that because first they said they imagined there were black holes, and then they found out they were for real, and now they believe that if you go through a black hole, you're in a different dimension.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you were living your life is being lived 11 times or 5 times at the same time? There's like 11 Harvey Rothmans, there's 11
Or more.
Rubin, or more.
Yeah.
But you're
Or less.
Or less. I mean, in one dimension, you could be a bum on the street. And
Right.
in another dimension, you're probably a king of a land.
Whatever, yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Depending on how the history
Yeah.
unfolds, and it's not just me. It's how history unfolds in that dimension.
And I was like, how did I get to this dimension?
Okay, but let's come back
Yeah.
to healing.
Yeah.
So for healing purposes, okay, you can change your timeline anytime you want because the point of power is always now.
Right.
And let me give you an example. I'm going to use my brother as an example. Now, my mom died about a year ago, and that was the last time I talked to my brother. And I didn't talk to my brother in the past year, not because we were angry, we just didn't get around to it.
Right.
No particular reason. And so the timeline's going on. I'm not talking to my brother. And one day I decided, you know what? I'm going to change my timeline. And I picked up the phone and I called him, and that opened up a whole new range of possibilities for me. So now I'm talking to my brother, and who knows? I'm telling him what's going on, and who knows what's going to happen, and who else is going to come into the picture through that encounter, right?
Right.
That's just a tiny little example.
Right.
Now, you could do that every day, but apply that on a bigger scale. Okay, now let's look at a larger scale. So here I am. I'm proceeding on in my dead-end, nothing job, whatever it might be.
Right.
Let's say it's a client. When are you going to change the timeline? You're going to do it today? You're going to do it tomorrow? How do you do it? Just do it. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And do it. Okay? Which brings me back to law of attraction also.
Right.
Because law of attraction, your predominant thought reflects
Right.
your reality. But we're missing something, right? What are we missing? You have to take action.
Right.
You can't just sit there and dream and think about what you want to do. You have to take action. So when you put the law of attraction together with changing your timeline, you're taking action, you're changing your timeline, you're moving your timeline from here to a different level, and now you're up here or down there or wherever you want to put it.
Let me actually, since you're on that, all right, let me make a little, not a joke, but let's make a little fun theory out of
Okay.
this. All right.
Yeah.
Say, all right, you're a single guy, right?
Okay.
And you see girl A, girl B, girl C, girl D, E, and F.
You sounded like my son.
And you're like, well, let's see, I like her qualities, I like that one, but I can't date all 6 or 7 of them.
Well, theoretically, you can.
Yeah, I can, yeah. But if
You got the money.
yeah, if you have the money, yeah, you can do it. You can do that. But say, all right, if I go with A, and I'm like, darn, no, maybe I should have went out with B, or maybe I should have went out with D, because I didn't like the qualities of A.
That's the would have, should have, could have.
Yeah, and it goes back to that would have, should, could have. So it's like, all right, I have these 7 potentials, but
7 choices.
7 choices.
Let's say 7. All right.
Right. Now, if I was able to take them all out together, that'd be great.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying?
So let's say you evaluate it
Yeah.
and you make a choice. Say number 4.
Okay.
I don't know why I said number 4.
That's all right. Yeah.
All right. And that's your choice. And that's going to define your timeline
Yeah.
for whatever period of time it defines it. It may be a few weeks, a few months, a year, or forever.
Right.
It depends on what happens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you two and what you guys put into it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Which brings us to just a segue into communication.
Right. Because, it's like one of those things, like, you ever wonder, like, I wonder what it would have been like if I would have went out with that one. I mean, I'm enjoying having fun with this one, but just out of curiosity. Or maybe I should try it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
You know?
is it curiosity?
It's probably more
Or is it something else?
It might be more curiosity than fight. It's like one of those. You ever been to ice cream where they got 31 flavors, but you can only afford one?
Yeah, I understand.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but
I don't know. Just sometimes I had crossed my mind.
yeah. I mean, but the answer is, any one of them will give you a different timeline.
Right.
And I used the word timeline in terms of choice. Okay, you chose this timeline, and this is the timeline you're going to follow until you choose to change it. Okay, now, I'm glad you mentioned that in terms of relationships with other people,
Yeah.
because another thing that we have to talk about is communications. Right. Now, what's communications? Okay, communications is I talk, you listen, you hear me, supposedly.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, you respond. I understand what you're saying, but let's talk about what most people do. What most people do is I talk, you hear what you want to hear, you respond to something completely different than what I'm saying. Next thing you know, we're in an argument. Because this happens all the time, right?
Right.
Anywhere.
And yeah, it does.
Whether it be intimate relationships, whether it be in the workplace, friends, whatever. People do this all the time
Right.
because they're not listening. But it's not just because they're not listening, because the person who's doing the communicating is equally responsible.
Right.
Because it's my responsibility when I communicate to you to make sure that you understand what it is I'm saying. All right? And if you don't, it's your responsibility to say, okay, are you saying A, B, C?
Right.
To clear it up. Because we need to be on the same page in terms of what we're saying. Otherwise, we're just talking over each other's heads.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hence, the whole concept of active listening. So you need to actively listen and actively communicate, and you need feedback on your communication so that you know that you're adequately communicating.
And I think that falls on the lines that you have to be open-minded, to listen.
Sure.
You can't be the person, I'm always right and you're always wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's judgment.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're going to sit and judge people, that's going to be a hard concept for you.
Yep, it's going to be very, very hard.
Yeah.
And I think relationship-wise, I think that even with yourself, it can make things harder on yourself. The ones I love is the ones that they're listening to you, but they're not listening to you.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I know you said yes. And this happened with one of my cousins, actually. He was talking about, doing a show. I said, yes, we can talk about it. I never said, yes, you could do the show.
Right.
They're just looking for that one little key word. Just say that one key word, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
Do you think you can give me $20? Yes. Okay. Turn it over. I didn't say that. I said I would think about it.
Think about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody missed those intricate words. Maybe. I'll see.
Yeah.
I maybe can, if so.
Or sometimes there's the old yes, and what are you saying yes to?
Yeah, exactly. Yes to what?
The old the old example I use when I prepare people in my law practice for depositions. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. Put this watch on. If I ask you, do you know what time it is now? What are you going to tell me? And they all pick up the watch, say 10 o'clock. Say, wrong answer. Let's try it again. Do you know what time it is now? And they do it again. What part of do you know what time it is do you not understand? It's either a yes or a no.
And they miss
And they all miss it. Most.
Most of them.
Next question. What time is it?
What time is it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Different question.
Yeah. Do you know what time it is?
I mean, that's a deposition, but
Yeah.
but it's an example of communications. I mean, that's not regular conversation. That's where you want to be more precise and more accurate in your answers.
It's from do you know to what is.
Yeah, I mean, a normal conversation. Yeah, if somebody says time is, they want to know the time. You know that.
Yeah.
But you do have to.
Or you can say, do you have the time?
Yeah, I do. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Now, if I would have said, do you know what time it is? I said, yeah, time for lunch.
Yeah, it's that time again.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we went through a lot of the concepts.
We did. Yeah.
Let's go with setting boundaries.
Yeah. Just a corollary of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries. Why are boundaries important, and what are they? Boundaries are. I like this wine. I don't like that wine.
Right.
I like this cheese. I don't like that cheese.
It's kind of like what I was
This
saying
is
before.
what I want. This is what I don't want. Okay. If you allow people to push through your boundaries, then, as they say, your boundaries are made out of Swiss cheese. You got too many holes in it. If you don't have preferences, you don't have boundaries.
Right.
Now, preferences are what you like and don't like, but it's also what you'll tolerate and not tolerate. I will not tolerate somebody doing X or Y.
Right.
Because they're pushing my boundaries, and it's just not acceptable. All right, that's from that point of view. And the other point of view is, this is what I want.
Right.
And don't want. It's part of what defines you as a human being. And if you don't have boundaries, you're going to find that people are going to always want to poke through.
Exactly. It's amazing how you say that, setting boundaries. But here's a little catch-22. Say you're in the job force. You might have your own set of boundaries, but your boss or the owner may have different boundaries for you.
Of course, well,
that point.
that's not necessarily a catch-22. Your employer will have their own boundaries.
Right.
Now, are your boundaries consistent with your employer's? Let's say my employer wants me to do something that is unethical and completely beyond my boundaries.
Right.
Am I going to do it? Well, the answer is some people might.
Because of the case of.
Am I going to do it? No.
Right. But, it goes,
Not that my employer would do that.
No. I mean, I don't even do it to my own people.
Yeah.
I'm open-minded to ideas and.
Yeah.
Stuff
But I'm
like
just
that.
saying there are some employers who would.
Oh yeah. Some are like, well, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your job.
Fine.
Yeah.
Is it illegal? Am I going to do it? No.
No.
Am I going to do it?
No. I'll just find somewhere else to work or something like that. Well, it's good that I feel the same way, and I feel that if you believe in something and you don't cross those boundaries like me, people try to test me, and like I have my boundaries again. Not to sound like a broken record, but I try to base my life on biblical aspects. The way I eat, the way I sleep and everything. I admit sometimes I'm up to like 4 a.m. Working.
Me too.
But when it comes to like for me working on the Sabbath or something like that, I don't want to work hard or anything on the Sabbath. That's my day of rest, and I mean that's Saturday to me.
Well, there's a reason why we have a day of rest.
Yeah.
And it's not all religious.
No.
I mean, there's a practical reason for it.
And
that you need a day to unwind.
And and to me,
I'm not saying I have one, but
I know.
but normal people do.
Normal people do. Oh yeah, for me, it actually works out because I want to tell you why on my
Sure.
own personal.
Yeah.
Beliefs, not put on anybody else. When I used to go to church on Sundays, wake up early, I always felt exhausted because we would do things on Saturday, and then I still had to wake up early to get up to go to church on Sunday, and then I had to go do my homework, go to bed, and then I still had to get up early. It was like a continuous cycle. But when I changed that, started going to church on Saturdays, sometimes I miss. I'll just read my Bible at home and don't do anything on Sunday. That works for me. Why? It's because on Sunday, I don't do anything at all. I can work or whatever like that. And then I can get up early Monday through Friday. And then when I go to church on Saturday, I'll get up, I'll go to Mass, and I can go home and rest. And then I can still go out and enjoy the movies and stuff like that. On Sunday, everything's closed.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah, it used to. Well, some things are, some things aren't. I mean, I think you could do. It's just that the way things are set up. But I do feel more rested that I took the day of rest on Saturday than I would on Sunday. I mean, again, that's for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
Talking about your. There was one other time I was talking about your body as a barometer. Your body needs nutritious food, like you talked about, but you also need some kind of rest. You need your body to rest, and if your body isn't resting as it should, your body is going to have what we call dis-ease, or disease, and and maybe that's what happened to me. Because I wasn't resting adequately.
Yeah, resting does heal any sickness too as well.
So your body does need the rest, and your body is a barometer because your body's. I mean, in hypnosis, we learn that we can actually talk to the cells of our body to get healthy, to stay healthy, and the cells of your body listen. That goes along with the heart science, okay, which we didn't know back when we talked about hypnosis, but we now know that. The heart science goes along with the hypnosis and talking to the cells of your body. But the cells of your body talk to you too. It's like when I stare into the abyss stares back at me. Nietzsche said that, but your body talks to you. When your body gets into disease, it's telling you, "Hold on there, slow down, Sparky." You got to take a look at what's going on here. So that's kind of important.
Definitely.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention was, just going back to the God thing again.
Yeah.
And what happened to me back 35 years ago. I mean that was a stark example of, at that point I was feeling very alone and disconnected. 35 years ago. I'm not saying that was the case now, but 35 years ago it was. And what I've learned in my years is you're never alone, you're never disconnected.
Right.
Because as I mentioned in the Moses story, God is always in you and always with you.
Right. He's always with you. And I think some people, discontent that. And I think that's one of the reasons why, what it is that people depend on anything man-made for their emotional relaxation, which does not work. Money, you have all the money in the world, you can still have all these emotions. Drugs don't help, they just max the problem.
Sure.
But if you have, the Holy Spirit in you, which is be God, and you eat right, basically in the Bible, and even other religious say this, too, that, God says treat your body as the temple.
Right. Not like a tent.
Yeah, exactly.
As Jimmy Buffett said.
That's right. And what do? You keep the temple. You have to keep the temple clean.
Yeah.
You got to detox, keep the temple clean. Don't desecrate it. Keep it clean. Don't desecrate it.
Exactly.
If you do that, and we're all not perfect, but when you keep the body clean and you don't desecrate the temple, and you have that spiritual balance in you. That's what I was saying before when I saw the David Icke.
Right.
I think it was David Icke. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
Yeah. Where he said that, again, like I was saying in the very beginning, is that if you have God in you, nothing negative will harm you.
Which we all do.
Right. And if something negative does come in you, you'll be able to heal yourself. But if you let that negativity gravitate your body and all your emotions, that's how you're going to feel all the time. You're always going to say, I can't do this. Oh, it's not impossible for me to do this. Saying I can't, I won't, it'll never work, and then on top of it, you're feeling depressed. And what happens, why you're feeling depressed, is because you're saying I can't, and it can't be done. And when you say it can't be done, what happens? You don't have the mission or the strive to do so.
Right. And, we've talked a lot about God and some Bible today.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that my program is not religious-based at all.
Oh, yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
A lot of this is my own personal
I
reference.
understand.
Yep.
But I want to point my program is not religious-based. However, with that caveat, it is based on heart science, and it is based on the existence of a higher being. We call it God or source or whatever you want to call it, But there is a higher being, a higher power that is within us and within our hearts, and that's really what the whole program is based on.
Okay.
And that's where this healing from the heart comes from.
Right. Let me see. Now, you said about healing from the heart. What do you think about being one with the universe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
We are all one. We are all energetically connected. We're basically all energy. This is just a meat suit, but we're all energy. We're all connected. That's been shown to each other, to everyone in the world, in fact, and to God's source. And if we're all connected, again, we're never, ever, ever, ever alone.
Right.
To face anything, because we're always connected with all of humanity. And a couple of experiments that were done. One just with my little group. My teacher has a ping pong ball. It's got a little electric thing in it. So we all hold hands, and it lights up. You break the connection, light goes out.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of an example of the energy that's within us. And I talked earlier about the electromagnetic force from the heart.
Right.
I mean, the brain has one too, but the heart is bigger and more powerful. And they did this also after 9/11, because the planet has an energetic frequency.
Right.
And it just increased after 9/11.
Right.
The frequency and the vibrations of the planet.
Well,
So there are a number of little experiments here and there that are going on.
actually, I can go on another half hour on that one.
I'm sure you can.
Yes, they call me. I'm a little conspirator, but I call it facts.
Okay.
And this happened. Actually, what I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to make it long. I was going to say what I felt when I first saw 9/11 because I listened to the mainstream,
Yeah.
and to what I've found more information on over time that there's more to the story.
I hear it coming.
to the story of the truth. And the discussions that we had talk about different dimensions and spirituality.
What happened to Flight 370?
I wanna,
Was it 370?
it's the same question what happened to Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, they're in the same place.
Yeah, they might be in the same place. And that's what I'm gonna leave it at that because that could be on your next program.
Yeah, we can have a show on
the
that.
spiritual aspect of 9/11.
That's an interesting subject. Yeah.
Yeah, on factual of letting the fifth dimension into our solar system.
Well, you know what they say about the whether the fourth or fifth dimension.
Yeah.
There's a number of things, but one thing in particular, and I don't normally talk about this because people think it's a little spacey, but
Oh yeah.
I've read. I'll preface it with that.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of
Same here.
material in the community about a group of aliens called Arcturians. They came from I think it's the Drago system. They actually live in the fourth or fifth dimension, and they're here with us. They're beside us, and they're here to help us. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
They're here to help humanity evolve. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah, I was going to say was like, on that, because I was also going to say was that, with that 9/11, again, we're not going to talk about this too much. About, it has to deal with spiritual, some demonic things that have happened, and dealing with the word Saturnalia.
What was the word?
Saturnalia.
Saturn.
Which is based in the study of and having faith that Saturn is your god. And there's
Not
a lot.
familiar with that one.
Oh yeah, it's very deep, and it's deep within the Illuminati.
We're not allowed to say that.
But I'm just gonna leave it right there.
Yeah, let's save that one for another show.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said
It might be an interesting show.
It's more deep, and it's deep, but again, it's no secret. It is out there.
Yeah.
There's people with documentaries on it, and it's kind of where I got the idea. Not the idea, but where I thought about that when the guy was saying how if you don't have the Holy Spirit in you, you could let these demonic suggestions come into that person and let it control your emotions, control your attitude, and because they say if you have the Holy Spirit in you, you're more forgiving. You don't let emotions get to you too much, and you treat your fellow brother and sister with kind of respect, and you have a more of understanding. You have empathy.
Well, you do realize how important forgiveness is.
Right. And that's one of the things I want to talk about, forgiveness and
self-love. Forgiveness is not just forgiving others.
Yeah.
It's forgiving yourself.
Right.
Being kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could sit here and say to people who I thought did me harm, I forgive you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I do.
Right.
And what does it mean anyway? To say I forgive you, it's kind of meaningless.
Do you think sometimes, even though deep inside the person who done you wrong, and everybody feels this, like you can smack them, you can throw them off a bridge, whatever, you don't care. I mean, people think of the most evilest things they can do, but then if you stop and think, is it worth all my energy to self-fulfill my own?
Right. Right. Why spend all the energy on that?
Right.
Why waste your energy on
Right.
it?
Because it can lead you to more trouble than what you already are. Because if you leave it alone, forgive the person, you forgive yourself.
Yeah.
God will forgive you, and you'll have more of a spiritual happiness in you. And I'll take it as deep as, and it's hard for me to
I
say.
agree with all that.
Yeah.
I mean, holding on to anger is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to happen. You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first and foremost, you want to forgive others for yourself. It has nothing to do with them. You don't even have to tell them.
Right.
But how you go about it is different. You don't just snap your finger and say, "I forgive them." It's all over.
It's a healing process.
It's a process. That's
Right.
what we're talking about. A healing process.
It's a healing process.
This is all a process. Nothing. There's no magic here. You can't just snap your fingers, and I can't just hypnotize somebody
Right.
and expect something to go away. It doesn't happen that way.
Exactly.
Everything is a process. And the other thing is, if you truly do want to forgive somebody, maybe think about what it is you think they did to you, and just maybe, you're going to find that you're seeing things wrong,
Right.
and you're seeing things from your perspective, and try to look at it from the other person's perspective, so you could see both perspectives and
Right.
say, oh, you know what, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they didn't really harm me. Maybe it was my fault. Maybe it was both our faults. Maybe who cares?
Exactly. I'm going to take a little bit more deeper than that. Say, I know one of the hardest thing, and I've seen people have done it, is, which is I think is the hardest a parent can do, is forgive someone who had murdered their child.
I know where you were going with that. Yeah.
It's a very deep and emotional, and sometimes it takes someone 10 years. Now, if the person
longer.
now,
Never.
yeah, forever, probably your body doesn't feel forgiveness, but spiritually you feel that spiritual healing, forgiveness. And I can't say you don't feel emotion that you want to kill the person yourself or revengeful.
Yeah.
And sometimes that could take 10 years for someone, because when you see the people say, "I forgive them,"
Yeah.
and for that criminal to not have any emotion, and after a while feel that they're not going to understand your point, but yet I still see people say they forgive them. And I think in some cases, I believe God is karma in a way.
Well,
Because I'll tell you my reason.
yeah.
And this is my reason.
All right.
Because if you've done wrong to someone else, and the system here will lock you up or put you in a chair, depending on what state you're in. You get the electric chair, you may hang, or you just sit in jail.
That's the system in our physical world.
Physical, right. But in the spiritual world, God has that judgment on you. And I think when people ask forgive themselves, to forgive the other person, they have that spiritual healing within them. And they say, "I forgive you," but when you pass on, you have God to face and judgment.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily believe in judgment, even from God. I mean, my personal belief is, number one, look at what happened. Was my child there? Excuse me. Was my child there to learn something or to teach something, or was I supposed to learn something from this? And maybe I was supposed to learn how to forgive from this. Maybe it was a lesson for me. It could be anything.
Right.
I mean, and karma is really just a balance.
Yeah.
You go from one life to another, one incarnation to another, and eventually, the murderer in this life could be the victim in the next life.
Right.
Just to experience, not as a punishment, but just to experience the balance of being on the other side.
Right.
And hopefully everybody learns from it.
It's amazing that if you have to go through another life, another dimension, it's almost like I wish I could remember what happened beforehand.
Yeah, but that would kind of ruin the whole thing. That's the veil. I mean,
Yeah.
if you lift the veil and you get rid of the amnesia and you remember everything, that's gonna mess up the whole thing, your whole
You think so?
experience for this life. Because then, now that you
Okay,
remember everything, what do you have to do in this life? You're done. Okay, I mean that's the whole purpose of the veil. I mean, when kids are little, they supposedly still remember something from the past life. We talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
There's
there's a lot of science out there. I mean, I don't know if I'll call it science, but experiences. I think Rich talked about it.
Right.
I think most recently there was the kid on Facebook who remembered his life as an RAF flyer during World War II, and they confirmed it all. He was there. He was reincarnated. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And there are tons of stories like this. And Rich Mardini was the one who was a skeptic, and he actually went out and did the research on all this.
Do you think when people remember this and they have dreams of recurring stuff, do you think like they did have lived that past life? Like for instance, somebody falling from a building and they remember they may have committed suicide or something like that.
I mean, dreams are funny because dreams could represent a number of things.
Yeah.
A dream, number one, could represent something from a past life, like a trauma. It could represent something from this life, but in a different form, okay? Because remember, dreams are images and symbols.
Right.
So something could be symbolized that happened to you in this life, but you don't quite know what it is because it's in the dream and it's buried in your subconscious.
Right.
A dream, according to other people, could also represent astral travel,
Okay.
where you could, the theory being that when your soul comes to this planet, part of it stays up there,
Yeah.
or wherever there is, and part of it's here. And when you sleep, your soul could leave your body, go traveling around, and come back, and could basically a quick ride around the block.
Right. I was wondering about that.
There's a number of theories about dreams.
Yeah, I was wondering. You ever have a dream? I want to say two aspects. One aspect, you had a dream that you feel like you couldn't wake up from because it was so real.
Sure.
That you thought that was actually, and you got up and thinking like, because I had dreams where I actually thought like I was at an event or something like that, filming or I was in some type of war or something like that, and I was actually there, and
Maybe you were.
and when I was fighting this or anything else like that, just falling asleep. And I actually gotten up thinking like, am I home, or am I there? Because I always feel like I'm dreaming that I'm in another place, and then when I wake up, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm home. I never left. Maybe physically I never left.
Yeah.
But
Well, one of the things you can do is keep a dream log. You keep a notebook next to your bed because you tend to forget these things quickly. So when you first wake up, write down whatever you can remember of the dream. And then do the same thing the next night. And usually in one night, typically in one night, I'll get 2 or 3 dreams into my log. Sometimes I don't remember anything, but when I do, it's usually 2 or 3 different dreams. And there's usually some kind of pattern in the dreams.
Right.
One follows from another to another, and you kind of have to connect the dots.
Wow. I think it's. I didn't think about that. I think I will. I mean, I'll consider.
Yeah. What does it hurt?
Yeah, don't hurt at all. Because you'd be like, one thing I can't stand though is like you have one of those good dreams and you can't remember what it was.
Yeah, or a bad one, or a bad one, or a mediocre one, whatever the case may be. I'd like to remember them and look at them. I mean, one I had recently, I know it had to do with something. A zombie apocalypse I watched before I went to bed.
Yeah,
I mean, that was obvious.
Yeah,
but that's something I watched before I went to bed.
I just want to say, like, I think like some dreams are like. Is it possible? You think it's possible for dreams to be like a book, fiction and nonfiction? And what I mean is just in that realm, like say like you just finished watching the zombie apocalypse. Okay, so it's like you enjoy watching the movie so much now you dreamt about it, but it's just a fictional dream that's not really happening.
Sure, that's fictional, yeah.
But then when you go to sleep, watching something regular that doesn't really affect your emotions too much. And you go to sleep, you have a totally different dream, and it's like so surreal.
Well, why did they say to people, avoid watching the news before bed? Because the news is filled with a lot of negativity and death and mayhem. And if you watch that before you go to bed, you're going to have dreams about death and mayhem.
Yeah. There's something about that.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, something about that news at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah, it's not a good idea. How do I get my news during the day? I go on the computer.
That way, this is what happened. I used to watch my news in the morning, see what's going on.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And the rest of the day, I'm doing something. I'm to the point sometimes at night I'll probably watch a cartoon.
But I'm just saying you don't want to watch it late at night because it'll impact on your sleep.
I definitely believe that. Do you with all these concepts that we have, do you think some of these concepts are actually reality in our life?
I'm sorry. What do you mean?
like all the concepts that, like all the conceptuals that we're talking about, like affirmation and dissonance and body as a barometer.
Well, yeah, that's all reality.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, these are all tools.
right.
They're tools you can use. And I'm not saying affirmations are bad. I'm just saying that there's a dissonance there, and you really need to reconcile your affirmations with reality, because how are you going to move on to something better if you don't accept where you are now?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you can accept where you are now. You can say, okay, yeah, I'm great, I'm lovable, and this and I'm that. But this is where I am now. This is my point of power now, and where do I want to go, and how do I get there?
Actually, I want to go point I want to go back to the forgiveness and love. I just remembered, just since we're talking about like dreams and thought process, this just popped in my head. One of the I think it was in I had to write this down, but I remember I think it was either in Matthew or in Romans, where it said that where Jesus says that if your brother steals from you, one coin, give him two. You know, let him have. If he steals your shirt, give him your pants.
Yeah.
You know, forgive him.
I follow the reasoning on that.
And then if he doesn't forgive you after, I think, the third time, if he doesn't come to you and ask for forgiveness for the third time, then you go and ask and said, let's bury the hatchet. And still
not in his head.
Not in his head, but yeah, he didn't say
No,
bury the hatchet.
I actually understand the logic in that.
Yeah, logic. But if he doesn't, then move on to the next one, and let it be, water under the bridge, and you move on, move forward.
That's because you don't want to hold on to anger.
Right.
Because again, it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
Because if you hold on to anger, the only one you're hurting is yourself, and the person that you're angry at may not even know it or care.
Care, right? Exactly. Exactly.
So I mean, you just don't want to hurt yourself, and your goal is really self-love.
Yeah.
If you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to love you.
Exactly. I hope we didn't give away the whole book.
No, we didn't. We talked about some of the concepts.
Yeah.
We did not give away the whole book. There's going to be a lot more.
Yeah. I made this like a Harvey Rothman special. That's why I let it go over.
Yeah, I appreciate that, especially since we're going on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think even though there was a lot of pinpoints of concept and about the book, that I guess a lot of stuff that we discussed will most likely be in your book, or you might have a part 2 to the Phoenix is Rising.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody goes out there and will purchase the book.
I mean, the purpose of the book is not so much for me to make money, and if I make a few bucks or break even, I'm happy. But the purpose of the book really is because I was guided by God to do this at this time. The purpose of the book is because I feel it's the right time for this to be out there and to help humanity.
It's amazing that if everyone will get this books, not books, with the book.
Right.
I was thinking about the other.
Oh, the other book is coming later.
Coming later, and again, like Harvey said, it's not more about the money, but it's more about your healing. Yeah. See what you can do in your own life references, and also when a book comes out and you have a question for Harvey, I'm sure they can ask you on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I think you're on Twitter too, right now.
Where?
Are you on Twitter?
I am actually.
Oh, okay.
Actually, interestingly enough, my Facebook is directly connected to Twitter. So anytime I post something on Facebook, it goes right to Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So I've developed a number of followers on Twitter now.
Twitter. Yeah, so you can ask, if you have any questions for Harvey. Again, this is not to be judging anyone. This is not being judgmental. Right. The book is for if you're open-minded. Even if you're closed-minded, get the book. Maybe you could find yourself within the passages of the book.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about myself within the book, not because I want to hear myself talk, but because I've had a number of experiences, some of which I've mentioned, and I'm sure other people have had similar thoughts to mine. I mean, I'm not that unique that way. And, if somebody hears something that I may have gone through that maybe they can relate to, and maybe they can use some of the tools
Right.
to help them through it, or work with me, whatever the case may be, then I've done my job.
Exactly. And also too, I want to say this too. If also get this book because maybe you have a friend or a family member that might need healing, and and you're looking for an answer, and get this book to help you help the other person. And then still, if you have a question that you don't understand, contact Harvey.
There's always
on
stuff we can
Facebook.
talk about.
Yeah.
And again, the book will be out. I'm aiming for early September, but I might get it out early, sometime in August. I'm kind of pushing for that.
Pushing for August.
It's not fully written yet, but it will be pretty soon. It's not a long book. It's going to be fairly short, but it's going to
2 pages, is it?
No.
Just
3.
kidding.
No. It'll be fairly short, but it's going to get to the point, and it will cover the issues we talked about and some more.
That's great. That's great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as the producer, so I let the show go over. I think we went over about an hour almost. 50 minutes actually.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
It's going to be that's going to be a long film.
And we did this without break.
Really, not even a bathroom break.
Aren't I an interesting interviewer?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Vision Quest with this guy. I was going to say Ruben, but I'm only for tonight.
Well, this is Harvey Rothman and Ruben Rodriguez here at Vision Quest here on Hamilton Radio. That is www.hamiltonradio.net. Remember that. It's an up-and-coming. No, actually, it's not an up-and-coming. It is up.
Actually,
and
we're moving
a
forward.
growing station.
We went from up-and-coming to growing and moving forward.
Yes, and we are, I just want to say something about the station.
Oh, thank you, Harvey.
We are a close-knit family here. Besides Vision Quest, we've got Center Stage with myself and Michael Toda. And we've got all kinds of good stuff coming up on that show as well.
Exactly.
We're going to be getting involved in more film festivals.
Oh, yeah, more film festivals.
What else?
Stage plays.
Stage plays, yeah.
And we're also looking at possibly going to movies and doing movie critiquing.
Yeah, critiquing. Yes, and I suspect there are more YouTube videos in our future.
Yeah. Don't give me that part.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, this one will be on YouTube, and look out for other interesting shows that we will be having here on Hamilton Radio. We do, like I said, we're a growing station, and producing all these shows is a lot of work. But to me, they're worth it, and because we're not a mainstream station. We try to really keep it kind of non-linear, so that way it's more off mainstream. We talk about everything. All the shows have different concepts on the show.
Give us an example.
Okay, let me give you like my cousin Monk.
Yeah, General Monk.
General Monk. His show is Open Ed. They talk about everything from what's going on in the community, what's going on around the country.
Right.
He has different artists come in. He asks them, what they feel about what's going on. He plays their music, and then he has this thing called Vent Session, where if you have something on your mind that you like to get out that's bothering you, and he just, people let out. Like for instance, I said, why do people have to wait at the green light? I don't like, what green are you waiting for? Is it turquoise light?
Well, that's like, why do people drive slow in the fast lane?
Yeah, that too. Why do people drive slow in the fast lane and drive fast in the slow lane?
Exactly. These are questions we may never know the answers to.
Exactly.
And then you've got an education show
with Dr. Nace.
Dr. Nace. You've got a political show, I think.
Yep, it's called On Fire. We just had last night.
It's a new show.
A very new show. We have a sports show coming in.
Yeah, and then you got the Old Faithfuls, Nancy Ryan and Danny Coleman.
And we have Sunday worship with Art John. Sunday worship and talk with Art and John. We have that on Sundays. In Rock on Radio with Danny Coleman, Felicia Nace. So and we have other health and humor show, which actually I think would kind of go in line with Harvey's show, because you go from spiritual healing to eating healthy.
Yeah, well,
So
eating healthy and humor, it's all related.
They're all related. So, but keep tuned. We have some new stuff that's going to be happening with Harvey for Vision Quest. It's going to be good stuff that we're going to be doing. We're going to be. You're going to actually, because this show doesn't stop during the summer unless I go on vacation. That is. Then it will stop.
So yeah, of course. But other than that, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
We'll be back in 2 weeks for Center Stage and Vision Quest.
Well, Center Stage is in July
16th, right?
No, July 16th.
I think it's July 16th.
Yeah. Center Stage July 16th, and also on July 12th we're going to be broadcasting live from the Strand Theater.
I'm going to say this on air. I thought it was the 19th. I didn't know it was the 12th.
It's the 12th. And actually, I'm in a show that weekend as well.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the Looney Wizard in Dr. Ava.
Oh, yes, right.
Which is called an artist's play over at the Grange Theater in Howell.
Yeah.
So I've got to come down to the Strand, run back to Howell, which fortunately is right next to it, and then back to the Strand again. Wow. So that'll be an interesting day.
That is going to be an interesting day. So if you want to see Harvey at the play in Howell, New Jersey, where's that going to be placed?
That's at the Grange Theater on Route 9 in Howell, and that is the weekend of the 12th, Friday and Saturday, on Sunday afternoon, I think. I'm not sure.
At 2 o'clock, like around?
Yeah, around that. But Friday and Saturday night, and also the following weekend.
Right.
And then starting in August, the entire month of August, I will be playing Virgil Blessing in Bus Stop at the, what's the name of the theater? In Atlantic Highlands, the Main Street Theater.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So that's the entire month of August.
Well, that gives me some time to go out there and see you.
So talk about doing my passion. That's it.
Yes, that's the passion. And you see Harvey's doing it. He's out there. He's passionate. He's out there from healing people to making people laugh to making people
cry.
Feel emotional and cry. Yeah, and cry.
No, not cry.
So if you go to Howell and you watch Harvey in a play, you can follow him to the Strand and meet him there too, and maybe he'll interview you there.
There you go.
At the Strand. And also, too, to keep up where Harvey's going to be at and where we're going to be at the Strand, go to www.hamiltonradio.net. I'll soon will be posting stuff about the Strand and where we're going to be there and promoting it. Also through Vision Quest, I'll be promoting us being at the Strand with Center Stage. Mm-hmm. And also, I will be having the other hosts promote that as well. So if you want to come down and meet with us at the Strand, I'll be honest, I don't know what I'm going to be doing down there. I know I'll be setting up.
That's okay. And we're going to be doing a lot of live shows, a number of live shows coming up.
And there's going to be, I think, 2 or 3 hosts, because I think it's going to be you, Mike Toda, and I think Monk is going to be there.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
good.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I think Mike said he had to be in a play, too, at the same day.
Mike doesn't have a play then, I don't think.
Oh, okay. That's great.
No, that's...
And I think we're going to be interviewing one of the celebrities there.
Yeah, well, Gary Pistori is going to be there, who we've interviewed several times already.
Yeah.
I actually saw the movie.
But this is for his film, too, right?
Yeah, it was for his film, De-Stress, and I actually saw it at the Garden State Film Festival. Mm-hmm. Michael hasn't seen it yet, so he's going to be able to see it at Lakewood.
Yeah, so I want everybody to come out here to see De-Stress, so Gary won't be stressed, so he can unstress.
Yes, and hopefully sell the film and make some money.
Make some money on it. And I actually, I didn't get a chance to see the film at the Garden State Film Festival.
Then you'll get your chance.
I'm going to get my chance this time.
Yeah.
And watch the film.
And Gary has the best after parties.
Oh, yeah. He does have the best after parties. And the music. Can't talk really to anybody in there, but he has the best parties.
This is true.
Yeah. You be talking in sign language, like. You're like, yeah. But he does do the best. He has one of the best parties. And, we're going to have so much fun, I believe, at the Strand.
Always.
And I'm working with Bridget, who's one of the people that are helping with the fundraiser.
Brigitte.
Yeah,
Brigitte is the publicist.
Publicist, right? And you'll see on the Walk of Fame, you'll see Hamilton Radio. We've been trying to get that, on the, I call it the Walk of Fame, but, the Order Wall of Fame of, sponsors. So Hamilton Radio will be one of the sponsors by broadcasting from the Strand. and I hope we're going to be indoors.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
That's the plan.
Have you been to the Strand?
No, I haven't, but I want to take a ride down there.
It's a very old theater. Beautiful theater, actually. It's right in the heart of Lakewood. I've been there maybe once or twice for plays. And when you walk in there, it's like being back in the 19th century.
Wow. I have a lot of places. A few places I have to, not a lot, but a few places I have to go and tour. Like I have to go to the Temple University Art Center since Art from Sunday Worship Talking Art is doing. I know the same as self promotion there, but it's still part of Hamilton Family. I'm doing this for the station.
It's the family.
Yeah. This battle of the Christian bands who use raising money to help out with child abuse awareness, and we're going to be broadcasting from the Art Center. I was going to say the Art Gallery, the Art Center at Temple University. So we'll be broadcasting there on a Saturday night.
Awesome.
At 5:00 on September 27th, and of course again at the Strand. I think we're going to get there around 5:00 or something like that. 6.
I'll be there.
6 o'clock. So we'll probably be at around 4:30 to set up. So
I'm probably good until 6:37.
6:30,
and then I'll return.
When is that movie supposed to start? Like 8 o'clock?
7 or 8, I forget. Around the same time that my play starts.
Oh, okay.
So by the time my play's over, I'll be back.
You'll be back.
It's right down the road.
Oh, right down the road.
Yeah.
Oh,
literally.
Okay. Oh, so they're really close together.
Yeah, it's like a mile down the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was that close.
Very close.
Oh, Lakewood and Howell. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, right on one. But again, people don't miss Harvey and Howell at the
Grange Theater
and the Strand Theater in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Yes.
And again, go to www.hamiltonradio.net for all the information.
And for all your favorite talk shows and all your favorite music.
And don't forget, Harvey Rothman on Vision Quest every other Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30. And Center Stage, we do start at 8:30, but we haven't worked out the time yet.
Yeah. Well, right now it's monthly, but
8:30 to 9:30.
We'll see how that works out as the summer goes on.
So you might see on Hamilton Radio, Center Stage, 8:30 to 9:30 plus.
We are unlimitless.
Unlimitless on internet radio. All right, so I guess we're going to say sayonara.
Sayonara, Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you all for listening.
Yep.
And have a lovely evening.
Have a lovely evening and week. Peace.
Peace and namaste.